Okay, let's go.
He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
Car. Roses would be...
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have.
You'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns, what's right? I want a man's coolant.
And he's like, oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light.
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West. Internet.
Is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke.
They'd love to be driven hard.
And another episode of Auto Off Topic. Hello, Brad.
Hello, Andrew. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I don't know. We got. I don't think we have a ton of stuff because I know you're still in your holding pattern for your garage, right?
I am. We have dates though, so that's good.
Oh, that's good. So updates, they got back to you.
Yep. So I'll be out of town, unfortunately, when the trusses arrive. But I'll actually be with you on the East Coast. But we come back and they are doing the actual build itself. Starts on the 6th.
Nice.
So August 6th. And it should take a day or two, and I should have a garage.
Cool.
So, we're going to professionally have the floors done as well with epoxy.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so the stuff you buy at the store doesn't last very long.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, everybody says you get about a year out of it, so that's not worth it to me. And the stuff that you pay professionally to have done is like lifetime warranted pretty much. So it lasts a lot longer.
And
costs
they also
a lot
do it
more
faster than you, though.
And better than me.
Yeah.
For sure. I guess the going rate right now is about $7 to $8 a square foot to have it done.
Oh, yeah, not great.
Not great. We managed to, a friend of Naomi's brother actually owns a company that does it, and he gave us a deal for probably about 30% off of that. So
okay, just you're not doing any flake in it, right?
No, we are doing a very light flake.
Okay.
So it's very neutral, no dark colors at all.
I've just heard it's very hard to find bolts when there's flakes.
So that's why we're going with a light flake. It's all like very light tan and taupe and gray.
Okay.
It's very neutral. It's very light. I don't want any dark colors at all. I didn't want any flake at all either, but he said that this is the guy doing it. He said that he prefers the flake. He thinks it's more durable. He goes, and if you ever do need to do any work to it, he goes, it's not the same kind of, it looks better, I think. But he said that the style with flake is more durable. So,
okay. He's
the man. I'm going to listen to him. So I went the lightest flake possible. So I think the color is called Coyote or something.
All right. Are you, when you add in the hexagon lights?
Never. Never. The only reason I want to do the epoxy on the floor is to eliminate staining.
Yeah. It's
so.
I don't know, I wonder how concrete stain would hold up.
I think the issue with stain is that it still leaves the concrete porous, right?
Well, I think it seals it.
Yeah. I don't know. The epoxy is what I'm doing.
It might not be as tough.
Yeah.
As the epoxy.
The epoxy is what I'm doing. It's going to look the best, I think. It's going to be the most durable. And with a light color, it shouldn't be an issue with dropping things on it. So,
yep.
I figure I'm building this garage from brand new. I might as well keep it make it so it can stay as brand new as possible for as long as possible.
Epoxy
I'm not going to
floors
go
are-
fancy garage mahal style, like you said, with hexagon lights and matching cabinets everywhere, and
epoxy floors are the WeatherTech floor liners for garages.
yeah, pretty much. Well, it's going to do a couple things too. It's also going to make it so it's easier to clean.
Yes.
And it's going to make it so that you can just wash the floor. It won't stain, and things will roll on it smoother, and it'll just be a nicer experience, I think, having the floor done properly. So, and with what we're spending on the garage, spend another couple of $1,000 to have the floor done properly is, I think, worth it. So,
yeah, it'll just last longer. So,
yep.
I mean, I wouldn't you can do that, but still don't just pour brake fluid or brake cleaner on it.
No, I'm going to take care of it, obviously, but
yeah,
I just, every car, like I said, these cars are old. They're going to leak things. So I'd rather have an easier to clean surface than just have the bare concrete. So, and I want to get it done before we start putting things in the garage.
Yeah.
Because once you start putting things in the garage, you got to take everything out in order to put the epoxy down. So if they can just do it before I start using the garage, life is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, we have to have the garage door guy come and quote out the proper doors, because we're not doing the prefab doors just because of the lifts. So it's coming along. But there'll be a building by first week of August. So
there you go.
Can't complain about that, I guess. Yeah. So, and the other cool thing too with the professional epoxy is it's dry in a day. Like you put it down on a Tuesday, you can drive on a Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So good stuff. So yeah, that's the Garage Watch 2024 update for this week.
Yeah.
No real update, just dates.
Yeah. I don't have much. I did get the Galanto over to Fast Track, which is the local shop that does performance alignments. And I just had him just do a basically street alignment for the car. And I was like, I don't know, the back, it's probably maxed out for adjustments because it's kind of low and they don't have much adjustability from the factory. And I didn't I have the adjustable arms, but I only have one set, and that's for the other subframe that I need to get to that is going to eventually go in the Talon I keep talking about. And then when I have that subframe out, I will buy new arms and do a whole swapperoo. But and they were like, yeah, the toe adjusters are pretty well frozen. I was like, yeah, I get it, as long as they're close, like it's not way off.
It's going pretty straight.
It was mostly the front toe that was off. I'm not worried about the rear. Even the printout was still in the green. I was like, all right, it's not that big deal. Whatever.
Yeah, it's fine then. Although Fast Track is the shop, and this is a very long time ago, different techs that don't work there anymore. So don't take this as a current review, but I went there with the Audi 4000, and I was like, I'll put, straighten it out if you can. I was like, don't worry about the rear if it's frozen, as long as it's, within spec. Don't worry too much about it. Kind of the same conversation you had with them. And it was not in spec, and all I did was align the front, and the car drove down the street sideways when I left. And I was like, if you can feel it dog tracking, it's real sideways.
Weird.
I went back and you said don't touch the back. And I was like, no. I said, don't worry about it if you can't make it work. But if it's not going to be straight, then fix it. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, we'll look into that. Like, yeah, I don't want, it's really sideways. So you got to be careful when you say that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I got that set up. Because it was like I couldn't really drive it anywhere. I didn't really want to drive it anywhere because it wasn't really driving straight down the road. So
sure.
Now I can drive it. I should drive it some more. I was going to drive it to Team O'Neill to go to the Gravels trial and watch, but I'm not sure if I'll have it up there. It's a whole thing that I don't.
When is the gravel trial?
It's Sunday.
Oh, this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole thing. I'll explain it to you afterwards. It's not something
okay.
I want to talk about on the air. But anyway, that being said, I was like, what other things can I do for car projects? Because I feel like I haven't been doing anything. And I was like, you know what? those front headlight bezels on the G20. Car's great. I should give myself a project on that car. Oops.
Okay.
Oops. Keep playing with this. Fidgeting
So
with
you're fidgeting
screw
there.
here.
I can hear it. Yeah.
I don't know what happened when I originally painted them. I followed the instructions and it said wait a few hours for the primer to dry, but it probably wasn't dry. And when I painted the green over it, it looked good. It was shiny, but then it must have soaked in, with the color coat, soak into the a soft primer if it's not.
So what the issue is, if the primer's not cured enough and you put the paint over it, as the primer is curing, it's going to slightly change shape and it's going to affect the paint on top of it. Because the problem is both paints are going to cure at different rates, and that's going to affect how it looks. And the way you had some low spots and some high spots and some that looked like almost like reverse bubbles tells me that that's probably what happened.
The bubbles were between the primer and the color coat.
Yeah.
So that's
what I mean.
Somehow after a while just broke and it was all spotted primer.
Yep.
And
so my guess is the primer wasn't dry enough for the paint.
Yeah.
Which
clear,
they can say whatever they want as far as the time to wait in between coats, but the problem is that doesn't take into effect things like your exact temperature and your exact humidity when you paint it. That all affects the drying time.
I don't know how I would be able to tell if the primer's dry.
Just give it extra time.
Yeah.
It's really the only way to do it. I mean, if you can touch it, you can put your thumb in it and hold your thumb on it for a long period of time without leaving a thumbprint. It's probably a good indicator. I mean, it's just one of those things that you just learn over time once you've done a lot of painting projects. But it's not something you do all the time, then it's hard to get that feel for it if you don't do it all the time.
And then I the color coat or the clear coat just kind of faded out. It was it didn't last at all. It was weird. So these are just aerosol online color matches, and the color match was good. It met the code. If you paint them to the color code, it's fine. So
yeah, and there's enough angles on them and stuff that a couple of shades off wouldn't even show up probably.
They looked really good next to the other body panels. So I was like, all right, I'll take those out. I sanded them down, sanded some of the bubbles out, but I went through the primer and into the plastic. And I was like, I don't really want to reprime these. I'll just color coat them, right? And I can't do that either because the color coat ate into the plastic.
Okay.
So I could see where it didn't quite, around the edges that were bare down to plastic, it had etching once it started to dry. I was like, all right. So it's well, I guess I have to sand these all the way down. And then I thought, no, maybe I can just use citrus strip on them because it's not too bad. Because I used it on the plastic timing cover on the Talon that was painted black.
Yep.
And that stripped it off perfectly fine. Well, whatever this plastic is that these surrounds are made of is super soft and reactive with the citrus strip. So even after 30 minutes, it basically just crazed the plastic and removed some of the paint, but also ate into the plastic. So
yeah, that's frustrating. I didn't even think that was going to happen either, and I feel kind of bad because I was like, yeah, it should be fine.
I should have just took the penalty and just sanded them a lot,
right,
to get the color cut off because it really wasn't that thick of paint. But now the paint's thicker because it's all crinkled up. And I used a plastic razor blade to try to scrape some of it off, but it's chemically reacted with the plastic. They're kind of a mess. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I think, I ordered new ones from Moret. They sell spares. I don't know when they'll ship. I don't know when I'll have them. Unfortunately, we're not cheap with shipping.
Right.
But sometimes you make mistakes. So I think what I'm going to try to do, because you're coming to visit, and I'm going to let you borrow the car, but you can't drive it right now because there's no headlight. The headlights aren't solidly mounted right now.
Sure.
I'll probably just try to hit them with 320 and just get them down
and then I'll just
Okay.
hit them with some flat black and throw them back in the car.
Yeah, it'd be fine for now.
just so the car is drivable, because I don't know. Maybe if I sanded them enough and they look decent, and those other things don't ship, I'll cancel them. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. One step at a time, right?
But I wanted to make sure I at least had the other ones on order, because I don't know how long they'll take. So a little bit of a down date there. Made myself a project. Took a fairly simple project, made it more complicated and a lot more expensive.
That's how life usually works, unfortunately.
Well, usually I'm pretty good about not doing that, but every once in a while I'm good for it. So hopefully, well, what I'm thinking is I'll probably take the new ones and just talk to your dad, who knows body shop people, and just have them painted somewhere.
I mean, he works at a body shop, so...
Oh, he does still? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just...
2 or 3 days a week he works at that body shop, so he can probably help you out.
Yeah.
They did a pretty good job on his Miata, so...
Yeah, like I said, if they just do the color code, they should be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the extent of my project car updates.
Well, I kind
dates.
of have a down date as well. I took the Eclipse out on Saturday because I've mentioned a few times on the show here that I'm planning a vintage car rally with some friends. And I went out Saturday to pre-run some of the event and just check mileages and where stopping points are going to be and points of interest. And it's up in like the mountainous Prescott, Arizona area where the kind of, windy mountain roads are. So obviously I was driving it hard, the Eclipse. I don't know if I said that or not. And you're, with no turbo at elevation, you're foot to the floor often to go normal speeds. And it didn't happen when I first left, but at my first stop up at the top of the mountain, I started smelling fuel. And I was like, that's not good. So I was like, well, nothing to do about it now. Keep driving a little bit further. So I went a little bit further, and I stopped again, and I smelled more fuel. And as I drove off that time, I could smell the fuel like through the air conditioning vents. And I was like, that's not good. So I changed my route plan, and I routed myself to a Home Depot to pick up a fire extinguisher just in case, because it smelled like an awful lot of fuel, and cut the trip off halfway and just went straight home from there instead of doing the windy, fun rest of the rally route and drove the car straight home. Of course, part of the 17 is closed for construction on the weekends right now. So I sat in an immense amount of traffic with 114-degree heat and fuel smell. So that was also unnerving. But thankfully, I had my extinguisher if I needed it at that point. Made it home. Didn't have a fire, thankfully. I haven't really had a chance to dig into it too much because this was on Sunday this weekend. I think it's Saturday, but it was Sunday, I think. Whatever day it was. I was busy afterwards and haven't had a chance to look yet, and everything in the car was too hot to kind of figure it out there. But my assumption is that I haven't driven the car much since I put the head back together. And this is the first super long trip I took with it. So my assumption is that something I did when taking the head off is probably either an O-ring didn't seat properly or was old and hard, and when I put it back together, it didn't seal properly anymore, or something just isn't quite tightened all the way. So I need to find out where it's leaking from. I don't think it's leaking a tremendous amount of fuel. I think it's more like a vapor. So,
yeah, a little bit of gas will smell a lot.
Yeah, but it made me nervous, and I haven't driven the car since, so I got to find out where it's coming from. But I was looking, and the only fuel lines under the hood that I split open when I had the car apart are the feed line. No, actually, I didn't even open those because I pushed them out, pushed the rail out of the way. So it's literally just the injectors, which I put all new O-rings on. So
you didn't undo the rail at all?
I don't feel like I did.
There's a feed line from the filter on the passenger side. The return line is on the driver's side.
Yeah,
both
maybe
of
I
those-
did. Oh, you
both
know
of
what?
those
I
ends-
definitely did. I definitely
Yeah.
did. Yep.
Both ends of those have an O-ring in them.
Yep.
That could be leaking. Each injector at the top has an O-ring.
I did
And
all
then-
new injector seals, so all those O-rings are new.
In the rail,
The ones that go in the rail, yes.
the little O-rings.
There's a little like rubber stopper and an O-ring in the rail.
Yep.
I replaced all those,
Okay.
and I replaced all the O-rings on the injectors.
Okay.
So that's all new. So
Yep.
it's probably either the feed side or the return side, I'd have to assume. So
Or one of those lines
split.
Well, the feed one would be like the crimp style, which if it's split, then you know how to fix it.
Yep.
And the return would just be regular hose.
Yep.
So, that's where I would start.
Yeah, that's where I'm
what
going
you
to start.
had.
I'm gonna put the car in the air first and look underneath to make sure there's no obvious fuel leaking. I couldn't see anything obviously leaking out of the hood, so I think it's probably just a very small amount, if anything. So I need to figure that out. But it's not a project for today. It's a project for hopefully maybe this weekend. We'll see. It's been so hot. Gotta get this garage finished, Andrew.
Yeah.
Gotta work on things. But yep, so slight project down date there, but not the end of the world. And the car made it home, which is all I can really ask for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't stuck on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Or on fire, which is probably the worst case. So anyway, that will now be maybe first project in the new garage. No, I'll have it fixed before then, I think. We shall see. But that's it for project car stuff. I haven't done anything else.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I talked about before, but I noticed the other day driving the Galant is that it does have extended crank to start now, just from the moving the fuel pressure regulator.
The fuel has that much further to go.
Yeah, but the Talon is like that with the fuel pressure regulator too. So it's like couple cranks when it's cold, and then it fires up, but a lot better when it's warm. So it is what it is. I don't drive it all the time.
And it's not the end of the world by any means.
No, but it's I noticed it's been like the high idle-ish I had, it doesn't do it anymore. It's nice, and so it must have been that temp sensor, and now it's got good fuel pressure. It's like idling at like 850, 900 RPM. It's perfect.
Perfect. Yep, that's perfect.
It's so much better than it was. But I don't know. Not much else for car updates, down dates, project car stuff. I think there was some NASCAR racing.
There was. Very important race.
Yeah, Brickyard 400. So they went back to the Brickyard. We were talking about this. They hadn't been there a number of years. What, like 2 or 3 years? And
for the oval, anyway.
For the oval. And this is the 30th anniversary, or it's coming up would be the first weekend of August, would be the actual 30th anniversary. But because NBC is carrying the Cup Series, and the Olympics are this year, there's a 3-week Olympic break. So,
which is interesting, especially because there are multiple networks carrying NASCAR this year. It's weird that they would give it to NBC during the time period in which they have the Olympics.
Yeah, but maybe, I don't know, or I don't know. There were deals that are signed and there's money exchange. I don't know what it is, right? It's like,
and I've been happy with their coverage of NASCAR.
Their
far
coverage,
as the actual coverage goes. But what's really ticked me off is now on multiple occasions they've moved the race to the USA Network that they also own for other coverage of other things. And while it's not a big deal because you just have access to the race elsewhere, It is a big deal if you record the race on DVR because you don't have access to it after that point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think all the teams are probably happy for a couple week break in the summer. So maybe
Oh,
that's
I'm
why they're
sure
like,
it's
we'll do it.
definitely a positive for the teams.
I think they said Daniel Suarez is getting married during the break.
Hey,
Yeah.
a lot of them are going away. I've heard a couple other NASCAR drivers say they're just getting out of town, going somewhere just to relax. So
Yeah, and all the teams need a break. So it's but anyway, the race, it was a pretty good race. Again, they need some tires that wear out.
yeah, it would make a big difference.
Um,
But the other thing is that it was a fuel mileage race for sure. It was another race that was a lot of talk of conserving fuel and having enough fuel to finish the race out.
yeah, and then you're watching it and it's like, then they got to slow down. So you're like, okay, it's not super exciting. Like it's, it's interesting from like a race nerd point of view. And
From a strategy point of view, very interesting. From I want to watch people bang doors and pass each other, not as interesting.
Yeah. And honestly, the last stage was pretty. I mean, the first two stages were pretty decent. When you have Denny Hamlin won the first stage, Bubba Wallace won the second stage.
Yeah,
and they both had pretty strong cars.
Yeah, they both were contending in the end of the race. I think Bubba finished 5th.
Yeah,
and Hamlin did not finish well, but it was not because he wasn't contending; it's because he got taken out.
No, it's because he got taken out. Yeah. Yeah, there was like a bunch of in the third stage there was a bunch of cautions that bred other cautions, and it got kind of messy. And man, I really maybe if there hadn't been a couple cautions, maybe Keselowski would have made it. Like I really wanted to see if he was going to make it.
Yeah, he definitely would have made it. So this is the big controversy, because what happened in the end of the race, they red flagged the race.
Yep.
After one of the wrecks, and the reason they red flagged the race was because they knew it was going to be an extended time to clean it up, and they knew people were running low on fuel.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's just do a red flag. Odd that they would do that, because tough luck. You run out of fuel, you get fuel. Like that's just how that works out. But they didn't. They chose to do that. So what happened then is people didn't get fuel because it was under red flag conditions and they couldn't get fuel. And then when the yellow came back out and they started driving again, they definitely were not going to get fuel because they would lose their position and have a very short yellow flag stint. They'd be right in the back of the pack or whatever. So Keselowski stayed out there, lined up next to, was it Blaney was on the outside?
Yep.
And
so here's the thing. So towards the end, within the last 10 laps, right, before the wreck, Larson ended up on a pit strategy. He had more fuel than everybody else. And everybody else is going slower, like 20 miles under what they could have been going, 20 miles an hour under, right? They were running laps around like 160 or something. And then Larson was like, well, I got more fuel than I'm going to push the pace. And he started running up.
He passed everybody.
Passed everybody except he couldn't get by Blaney.
Right.
It was interesting. And therefore he couldn't get to Keselowski. So it was like coming down. I think it got down to like 4 laps.
I think they're 4 to go.
Yeah. It was like, is he gonna do it? And then they had that wreck, right? So they red flagged it. I guess they should have made the call to just let people come in under caution, do competition stops.
Yeah, 100%. That would have been the way to do it. It would have shaken up the whole event, because then they would have gotten back out there. At the time, I think Larson was in 3rd or 4th.
Yep.
He would have lost that position because there were cars further back that would have been able to leapfrog, and he would have had that 4 or 5 laps to try to, or maybe he wouldn't have had to come out at all. Maybe he would have come back out if he stayed out in 4th. I don't know.
Maybe he would have stayed out.
But it would have shaken up the entire field. So that was the first odd call. And then what happened in the end, or the second to last lap, third from last lap, whatever it was.
They come around
So-
on a restart.
On the restart, Keselowski runs out of fuel,
He immediately pulled into the pits.
immediately pulls off to the side instead of having to sit on the track and cause a big pileup behind him, which is
Yep.
sort of the right thing to do, but also like
it was
he
a correct move.
you probably shouldn't have run that low, but whatever. But the problem with that was then all of a sudden that gives Larson the line right next to Blaney, and Larson's on the inside, which is a huge advantage at Indy. So the second the green drops, he's gone.
Yep.
He just drove away from Blaney.
Yep.
And it was just there was no chance of anybody else winning but Larson, except there was a spin in like turn 1 or 2, and the car got stuck on the track, and for some reason they didn't call a yellow. They didn't blow a yellow, and the cars had not hit the start finish line yet. So if they had thrown a yellow, it would have gone to another green white checker,
Another overtime.
but they didn't throw a yellow until all the cars passed the start finish line. In fact, they were almost all the way back around the track again to meet up with the car that was stuck on the track.
Yeah.
Which seemed
Weird call.
unnecessary and dangerous. Now, what they said, the official explanation was, he was trying to move his car. We thought he might get his car up and running and not be in the way, and we wouldn't have to throw a yellow. But that doesn't hold true in my head, because watching it on television, when you have
He had flats.
he had missing one tire and he had another tire was flat, and the car was stopped almost immediately and stuck. His tires were just spinning. And if I can see that as a casual viewer at home on television, I'm pretty sure the NASCAR officials had a better view of it than I did. Why didn't they do something about it?
We're like, why aren't they calling yellow?
Yeah. So it's almost like they were just like, we've had too many overtimes. This race just needs to be over. Let's just make it happen.
They had one overtime.
Way too much stuff was happening at the end of the race. Nobody has enough fuel. Let's just make this happen. Let's just end the race. It seems to be the call they made. Unfortunately, they made that call with Larson out front, which also brings up all these other conspiracy theory conversations about, letting one of your most popular drivers win the race. And the 30th anniversary of it, and it's
the first
Hendrick
Hendrick
car,
win.
and Hendrick won the first time, and it's like, ugh.
Hendrick was driving the pace car, like honorary in the front, whole thing, right?
So there's definitely some questionable things that happened there, and I don't like it at all. But
no, and I don't blame Blaney for being mad.
And Blaney's pissed. Blaney's pissed because Larson was the advantage Larson had in that situation is he would have been in the third place starting position, but because Keselowski dropped out of the way at the last second, now he has an advantage because he can accelerate from the third place position and get up next to Blaney right before they go over the line, and then he already has momentum when they hit the line. Whereas if he officially started next to Blaney has to control the start, and Larson wouldn't have been able to have that extra little kick to just drive away at the start finish line. Yeah, it's because everybody goes on Blaney's go because he's the number one car, right? Yep. But when you're behind like that, if you were in third place and Keselowski was in front of you, you can get that run, but your car would stop at the back of Keselowski's bumper. But since Keselowski wasn't there, he was able to get the momentum going earlier and then just drive away with it. So that's also what peeved Blaney. And then the yellow didn't come out that should have come out and re-racked them for another try.
Yeah.
So
the other weird calls were the blend line violations, but they weren't that weird. I was like, that's obviously a blend line.
I agree with that. Yeah. It's like football. You step on the line, you're in bounds. You step over the line, you're out of bounds, right?
Yeah,
or not,
you can't.
Is football? You step on the line, you're out of bounds. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Sports ball.
No, line is inbounds, just like tennis, right? Line is inbounds.
I don't think it is. I think line is out of bounds in football. Anyway,
because it's like Elliott came up, he was way over, like.
He was he was in the racing surface. Absolutely.
So it's like, if that's not the rule, then why don't you just keep going up into the racetrack?
Yep. Yeah, he was clearly over the line.
So, I think they made the right call there, but I other than that, cool race. They'll be back at Richmond with tire choices, so that should be interesting. So I look forward to that.
That's after the break, right?
That is after the Olympics. Yep. But the only other thing I ended up being busy last weekend. I wish I had time to go there to Lime Rock. They did the IROC race. It was like speed.
Yeah, you cannot touch the line in football, by the way.
Okay. It was
So
like
I was wrong.
Speed Stars or something, or Speed All Stars. Ray Everham owns the IROC brand, so they brought back. They did some like I don't know what, like they did some like Trans Am style racing, and they like, I don't know if they did some vintage racing with the older Trans Am cars, kind of as exhibition stuff, which seemed cool.
Yep, and the IROC cars.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The IROC cars. I said IMSA, but I meant IROC. I was mixing up the two I's. But the real reason I was bummed, I should have made more of an effort to try to go, was that Mark Martin was there. And he's really cool. And he's one of my favorite old school drivers. And
absolutely
signed a bunch of autographs and stuff. So I have like an old Mark Martin car I would have brought, had him sign or something. But oh well, maybe they'll do it again next year.
Yeah, hopefully. It looked like a pretty cool event.
Yeah.
It was like a very casual, even more so casual version of the Lime Rock Historics.
Yeah. So that's the only other thing. You want to do some Craig Don't Tell Me?
I have a couple.
All right. Let's give it a little intro here. Now for some Craig Don't Tell Me. All right. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so we have here
All right.
single mirror, rub strip sunroof delete, 5-speed manual, 34,850 miles. This is Euro number 98 and production number 112, meaning only 14 US spec cars are built before it. I bought this car from a field in Sacramento where it's sat for 20 plus years. It will need full restoration, but all of the rare early bits are still there. Early center console, not pictured, but in fantastic shape. Engine turns by hand, and engine bay looks virtually untouched. Previous ownership was tinkering with the ignition switch, so I have not attempted to start the car. Pulled the gas tank, had it cleaned like new. Was planning on restoring after building my other car, but I doubt I'll get any time to do it. This is your chance to own one of the earliest known blanks that will continue to appreciate in the next 15 to 20 years, in my estimation. Restored, I believe this is a $100,000 car, given the true mileage and rarity. You can see on the first page of the blank Owners Club registry that this is the 14th earliest car known in existence. Included with the car is 5 yards of material to recover the seats, with more to spare.
Huh. No engine specs, huh? Nothing?
It is a V8.
It's a import. Early car. V8 early car. No rub strips. Right?
Rub strip, sunroof, delete, 5-speed manual, 34,000 miles.
Oh, it's a 5-speed. 5-speed with a V8. Whoa. Is it like an early? Is it an early, like Mercedes coupe, like an SL something?
It is not a Mercedes-Benz.
Is it Italian?
It is not Italian.
Oh. Okay. Let's see. Is it like a
It's an overhead cam V8 with timing belt.
V8 with a timing belt.
Most of them are automatics.
Oh. Oh boy. Oh, is it? Wouldn't be like an Alpha.
It would not.
It's not you said it wasn't Italian. Oh boy. I'm like not getting anything. So V8 manual overhead cam.
One would consider it a sports GT car.
Sports GT car. I don't know. I don't know if did the British do overhead cam V8s?
Maybe, but it's not it anyway.
Oh my goodness. Doesn't make sense to me. It would be. I don't know what it is. I'm like just nothing.
You tapping out already?
Nothing. I get nothing. Nothing's coming to me.
All right. Well, the material is called Black and Blau Pasha.
Oh. Okay. All right. So it's like a 928.
It is a 78 928. It
Okay.
caught my eye because the listing shows 78 Porsche 928 5-speed, $15,000. And I was like, that is incredibly cheap.
Because it's in a field.
It's not in a field, it's in a driveway, and it looks really shiny. So I clicked on the listing, and it is very shiny because it's covered in water. The interior is out of it. The seats are all ripped and torn. The car has not been started in a very long time. So who knows what's going on with it. But so it is not cheap. It is probably more than market value given what it needs. But hey, 34,000 mile California car. I'm sure you can do something with it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do anything with it, but somebody can do something with it. It's the right color combo. It's the silver 928 early car, so none of the body adornments over a Pasha interior. It's good. It's a good car for somebody else who's not me.
All right. I got one. Maybe you'll get it. Maybe not. It might be too hard. Let's see.
I'll definitely get it.
Left-hand drive project.
Left-hand drive, like normal?
Yep.
Okay.
I purchased this car on the West Coast and shipped it back. No rust issues. Underside is clean. Bolts turn freely. Running out of time on this project. Got it running. Rebuilt carb. New SU fuel pump. Generator. Points, plugs, etc. Fresh oil and hoses. Have belts and lots of extras. New master cylinder. New wheel cylinders. Can't seem to get the brakes to bleed properly. And no longer have the time or energy dedicated to this one. Great candidate for restoration. Never came with a passenger street, must be passenger seat. But I have a frame with replacement straps. It's old and blank and not in my wheelhouse. Starts up with a new battery, starter, solenoid, and starter cable. I have multiple keys.
1961 Triumph TR3.
No. Would consider Italian motor scooter trades.
1964 Triumph TR4.
I mean, you've got the right country.
I could tell it was British just based on the conversation. The fact that he says left-hand drive, meaning it's a car that you might commonly see in right-hand drive.
Yeah.
So if it's not a Triumph, it's probably an MG, like an MGB, or a MG midget, something along those lines.
Nope. Go more obscure.
You gave me a TVR last time.
More obscure.
More obscure than a TVR.
I wouldn't call this a sports car.
Huh. Is it a 4-cylinder car?
I believe so, yeah. It's 1,000 cc's. I'll give you that.
1,000 cc's.
Yep.
Very obscure. Is it like a Morris Minor?
It is.
All right.
It's a 59 Morris Minor right here in Peabody
That's cool.
for $3,900. 2-door.
I'm into it. What color is it?
Silver. But
Oh, shouldn't be probably.
looks like it was repainted because the
Yeah.
top is fading to like blue.
I can't say I've ever seen like a metallic silver one of those cars. They're always like a very
It looks
industrial
like painted
looking,
over
like,
like somebody painted over a cool blue with crummy. You can see it peeking through crummy silver.
Well, I don't know if I got it or not, but I came close enough that I got there.
Yeah, we'll give it to you. It was a tricky one. That's probably the one of the three I have with the least amount of descriptors. So
I have another one here that I was going to read to you.
yeah,
it has a paragraph and a half of information, and I'm not going to, but I do want to read to you one couple of things here.
okay.
The only negative. I bought the truck on an open title 15 years ago. I accidentally lost it somehow in the past couple of weeks. I've contacted the original owner I bought it from 15 years ago, but he moved to New York. We're trying to get a bonded title on it. So I've dropped the price, $300 less.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, that's pretty good. That's not the one we're doing, though. Here's the one we're doing. Ready?
Yep.
This is a blank. Actually, 5 blanks. Very clean. 258 cubic inch 6-cylinder. 5-speed manual. Rebuilt and balanced. 258 cubic inch 6-cylinder. Speed hut gauges. All gauges and lights work. 4-barrel Edelbrock. Offenhauser intake manifold. Pace setter headers. 4-core aluminum radiator. HEI distributor. New clutch, which I assume means clutch. Front disc brakes and rotators. I assume rotors. Front wheel bearings and seals. New rear leaf springs and shocks. 20-gallon gas tank. New Falcon Wild Peak AT4Ws. New flares. New clutch again, this time actual clutch. Electric fuel pump. New front seats. New soft top. New hard top. 2 sets of doors. Half cab top as well.
Okay. It's like a CJ7?
So I'm going to make you be a little more specific because it's too easy to get CJ7. It is not a CJ7, but it is damn close.
Is it a Willys?
So it's not a CJ7, but it's really close.
I don't know. What's... No, I've exhausted my Jeep knowledge.
Well, just count numbers. What comes after 7?
CJ8?
It is a CJ8 Scrambler, yes.
Oh, okay. That sounds cool.
These are my favorite Jeeps. I'm into this one. It's yellow. It looks very well put together. The only thing I dislike about it is that somebody with a vinyl printer made the Scrambler decals for the side of the hood, and they look cheesy and terrible. So, but other than that, I would 100% drive a Scrambler. I've always wanted one of these Scramblers. The problem is, would you like to hazard a guess at the price of this 84 CJ8 Scrambler?
I bet it is 22 grand.
If it was 22 grand, it would be a good buy. It is $40,000.
Whoa!
So these Scramblers go for a ton of money. 40 might be a bit much, but 20 would be a bit too low. So.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. No, I haven't looked in a while, but last I knew they were trading in the $30,000 range. So not worth it to me for that kind of money, but neat trucks anyway. And I love the inline 6 Jeeps. So yeah, it's funny. Right. A couple of pictures of it where it's like for 40 grand, this truck is definitely not there. you can see in one picture where it has like rusty old wheels, and in the next picture where they've been recently spray painted gloss black right over the rust. So good truck overall, but probably a $20,000 to $25,000 truck. So
All right.
still too much money.
Ready for mine?
I am.
All right. Blank, blank, blank. 65,000 miles. 235 straight six, 3-speed manual. Refurbished in 99, 2000. Engine rebuilt by Jack London, Wilmington, Mass. Slightly modified. Exterior, silver blue, Arctic white. Two-tone interior, Fathom blue. Was in the movie State and Maine.
Okay.
Like Main Street, not Maine, the state. Has not run since 2014. Need once over. Yeah, you will need a trailer or tow. You're responsible for transport. That's about it.
So a 235, you said?
Yep.
So that's the Chevy Stolbolt 6?
Yep.
Fathom blue sounds like a modern color, or not a color from that era, because that era would be, I don't know. God, that's probably mid 50s. It's like a 53 Chevrolet. Is that a Thriftmaster pickup? Just
You are right manufacturer. So close.
Is it a truck or a car?
It's a car.
Okay. So it's a 50 to 54 Chevrolet Coupe.
Nope.
Oh. That engine was around forever.
Yep.
I just don't know what years was a 235. I know that's one of the common ones. So I assume that it's going to be in the 50s, but I mean, is it a 50s Chevy Coupe?
It's actually not a coupe,
Oh.
but it is a 50 Chevy.
Is that where I lost it? It's a 50 to 54 Chevy sedan or wagon?
No. Nope.
Huh, so it's later.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the ballpark. I don't think there's enough information to justify me getting any more guesses other than just guessing in order. So it's a 55 Chevy sedan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just tell you what it is. So you're not just guessing years.
Yeah, that's all I can do at this point.
58 Chevy Biscayne 4-door.
Okay, that's cool.
It's
ahead.
silver blue, so it's kind of a silvery blue. The roof is Arctic white, and the interior is Fathom blue. It's got like a blue interior. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's probably very pretty. It's funny. I don't. There wasn't enough information there to get any further than just it's a 50s. It's a 50s Chevy. Yeah. You don't see many of the later 50s stuff. Like a 58 is a big car that still are rolling around with the original 235 6 in them. The earlier 50s stuff, like the 50 to 54, which is where I usually picture that engine in. So
weird. This movie sounded sort of familiar. State and Maine is a 2000 American comedy film starring William H. Macy, Sarah Jessica Parker, Alec Baldwin, Julia Stiles, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Those are about the only people that everybody knows. Havoc is wrought on the inhabitants of a small New England town by a troubled film production. Weird movie.
So it looks like the 235 went from 41 in trucks, but 1950, which is what I thought, in cars. So 50 to 62. So, and it's also that's also what was in the first Corvette, the Blue Flame 6. It was a what a higher compression, triple carbureted version of that. And I think that the original one made like 110 horsepower, and the Corvette one made like 150 horsepower.
Yep.
So they're super cool engines. They sound cool too. If I came across an early 50s Chevrolet, which is high on my list of someday cars, I'd probably prefer a 6-cylinder car to one that somebody swapped a V8 in. Because obviously there was no V8 till 55 in Chevys. So anyway, cool.
John Krasinski's in this movie, uncredited. Weird.
Oh, wow. 2000s like the beginning of his big career.
Yeah.
Too.
Here's another local thing. The plot involves on-location production in Waterford, Vermont, of a film called The Old Mill. The actual film was shot in Massachusetts, in Manchester by the Sea, Beverly, and Dedham, and Waltham, which is weird. Those don't look at all like Vermont.
I mean, there are areas of all those cities you could make like Vermont, in Beverly Farms and in the woods.
Yeah, weird.
But nonetheless, I would think that we'd be more familiar with the movie, being as it was made in Beverly, and that's right next door to where we lived at the time. Because in 2000 we both lived in Salem.
Yeah.
So sweet. Well, I don't have any more, Andrew. I couldn't find any other ones that had good listings, so I think we'll top it off at 2
All right,
each.
I got one more.
Okay.
That's just kind of mildly interesting. And it mildly treads on one of our faux pas, but not. It's fine though.
It has flares.
One of the things we usually don't discuss on this podcast, but
Political.
We'll see. All right, so this is a really nice minty blank. I bought this car from Mitt Romney. Long story. No, I didn't sit across from him at his kitchen table and haggle with him. His people sold it for him. I just stumbled upon it. I don't know him. Although he seems like a heck of a guy, great governor. It's got 13,000 original miles. Will keep changing as I drive it often. The speedo is not flipped. I guess meaning turned over. Runs and drives like a new car. Pretty much looks like new. Always needs a little something here or there because it's an OG car that really actually gets used. Blah blah blah. Mostly original. Not a complete restoration. All right. He's got a story here. Mitt's son bought this car for him in 2008 as a birthday present. Mitt's dad ran blank and was really into the small economy car division. So there's a clue. It looks like it came from a place in Florida where they rehab classic cars and sell them. Must have been a cream puff in someone's garage with no mileage. They rebuilt the engine, 3-speed transmission, reupholstered the front seat, new top, new paint job, but everything else is original. It should probably be displayed somewhere instead of a chump like me driving around in the winter.
I mean, there's no technical information there at all, other than it's an economy car with a 3-speed. I mean,
but what company did his dad run?
Mitt Romney's?
Yeah, dad.
Oh, I don't know. Isn't he married to the Heinz lady?
No, that's the other one. The other guy from Massachusetts. Oh my gosh, he lost in 2004 to George Bush.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. We don't. That's not this type of podcast. But
well, let's see. The only car of Mitt Romney's that I'm aware of is the one that he put his dog on the roof of and drove on a road trip. Do you remember that story?
Not this. I know the story, but not this one.
Yeah. So it wasn't the family truckster that he had the dog on the roof that pooped out the back window.
No.
So no, again, the only information is economy car, 3-speed. I don't know who his dad is. I mean, if he was really into economy cars, is it like it's American, I assume?
Yeah, what would be an early 60s American
So it's
economy car?
AMC.
Okay.
Do you work for AMC?
Yep.
I feel like I should know that as a big fan of AMC's, but I don't know that. So it's a 63 Rambler.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 62 Rambler American convertible.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's black and red.
I'm super into the cars. I love Ramblers. I had no idea that ROM had anything to do with it. So interesting story for sure.
Yeah.
Now I know two Mitt Romney car facts.
Yep.
One's grosser than the other.
Well, anyway, on that note, that's all we got this week. Come join us in the Discord. I've got a bunch. I think I did it last time. A few days after this episode drops, I'll put up links to these.
You did last time.
Yeah, I'll put up links to these after a few days have gone by. Let people catch up and listen. But I've got like 20 open tabs of cars that didn't make the cut because they had like 2 sentences, but they're still cool cars. So I'm going to go spam the Discord.
Excellent.
Tire Kickers channel. So come join our Discord. We have a channel or a sub channel of it that's called Tire Kickers. We just put cool cars that everybody finds for sale, and hardly anybody actually buys them, so we call it Tire Kickers, right? Although we've had a couple of people actually follow through and buy some cars that people have posted. So
Yes, they have.
But anyway, yeah, you can follow the podcast Auto Off Topic on Facebook, Auto Off Topic on Threads. I am Raced in Anger on Threads and Instagram, and Auto Off Topic is also on Instagram, of course. We've done some Scale Autocast posts the last couple of days of our indie pace car diecasts. But on that, Brad, where can I find you?
I'm currently building an RC truck, so expect some pictures of the building process there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Find me at TSI SS 350 at all places that are internet.
All right. Sweet. So, as always, keep your cars analog and aim for the roses.